Items for review and discussion. Item A, mental health court.
Judge Nigro is here tonight to talk to you guys about the mental health court.
On now? Yep.
You got to talk into it pretty good.
All right, sorry about that.
All right.
It's an unusual microphone for me, but I'll try to practice. All right, so an idea came to me that we needed to get a mental health court going here in Belton. I will tell you right now, there is no mental health court anywhere in Cass County. I am familiar with, I prosecute for the city of Raytown, and there's a mental health court there. There are numerous mental health courts in Jackson County, Clay County, Platte County, but for some reason, none of the courts in Cass County have one. Since I've become judge the last couple of years, I've seen a need for it in this community. I've had numerous people in front of me, numerous people in jail. The chief is here. He could probably tell you the police officers deal with a lot more than I do, but we have a large, I wouldn't say a population, but individuals that need mental health treatment. So I felt the need was there. That's why I'm coming to present that to you, make sure the court or the city was okay with the mental health court going in that direction. I've already cleared it with Judge Collins, the circuit court presiding judge, and then I wanted to make sure everybody in this city was okay and knew what we were doing. So we had a need for it because there's individuals, we have a large homelessness group, we have a large individuals who aren't working that due to mental health issues, I think, will need treatment, and the mental health court will help them get that treatment, and that's what we're going for, is I get a lot of repeat individuals in court. I won't call them repeat customers, but repeat defendants. And it's usually the same type of charges. It's trespass, it's stealing, it's possession of drugs. But underneath all that is usually something related to mental health, and that's why they're doing that. So by getting the mental health court, the goal is to, one, improve the public safety of the whole city. Two, help these individuals so that reduces them coming back to court, reduces their connection with the police, reduces their time in jail. And then three, get them treatment and help, so it helps them going forward so that they don't have to deal with these issues anymore. You know, we spend so much time with housing individuals, because some of these with mental health issues, they actually purposely try to get into jail. They will cuss me out, they will call me names, and I can imagine what they do with the police officers when they make contact, because they want a place to stay, they want a place that feeds them, they want a place to stay warm, and it's not just homelessness, it's other reasons as well. So that's why, you know, looking at this over and over again, I said we need to come up with a process. The mental health court I envision will be referrals from the police department. Police officers arrest somebody that they're familiar with, and they're like, okay, this person needs mental health treatment. We're running into them weekly, daily, monthly, whatever it may be. Referrals from the court staff. They come in and they, you know, write letters to the court. From the letters alone, I read one today, it was 4 pages. I could tell that person needed mental health treatment. When they come to court, the things they say. Other referrals from throughout the fire department, whoever may have contact with these individuals and make mental health, have referrals. We're going to be working with Compass Health as the main source for us. It won't really be costing the city any money out of pocket. What we'll be doing is connecting these individuals with services. And this is going to be a voluntary project because we don't have the authority in municipal court to force people to get this mental health treatment. They're going to want this treatment, but we're going to give them the opportunity for them to seize the opportunity, take that treatment, and hopefully make a lifelong changes that they'll never have to come back. Through Compass Health, they'll set them up with counselors. They'll set them up with their veterans for veteran benefits. If they need Social Security to pay for medical costs, they will give them the resources to put them in contact with the right people so that they can get mental health treatment, medical treatment, substance abuse treatment, and kind of go down that path. And that's how we see this mental health going. I will tell you that since no other court in Cass County has mental health treatment, we may get some other cases from other cities that need treatment. But again, this is voluntary. This won't be any additional cost to our court or to your city. This will be just something other than, I shouldn't say additional cost, no budgetary costs. I mean, you're going to have time and effort of the court staff, the police department, detention officers, myself, but there won't be anything to the budget to add to that, just additional time. Most of the type of cases I see going in the mental health court will be, like I said, theft cases, trespassing, drug charges. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking to put violent people in mental health court, But they may qualify, and we may on some circumstance, but because it's a voluntary project, it's less likely to be violent, but they could qualify. Won't be traffic cases. I mean, speeding down the road is not based on mental health. That's another issue altogether. So those are the type of cases we envision going into mental health court. Luckily, there's somebody with Compass Health called Nikki Oakes. I know the chief has met with her. We've already had 2 successful cases where I've had individuals twice within 24 hours of getting released were back in jail for the identical charges of disorderly conduct. They were going into businesses, trespassing, eating and drinking in the business, yelling at customers, threatening the employees. And as soon as I'd release them, they'd come back in. And they did this 3 times in a row in a week. Nikki has met with both these individuals, got them on hopefully the right track, because I haven't seen either one of them since she's been in contact and signed them up with counselors. So I think it's already working, even though technically we don't have a mental health court. At least we've got them in the direction of getting mental health treatment, which is helping the court, helping the police department, and helping these individuals. This will be something that we'll set up on a monthly basis of court. We'll have monthly reporting of everybody involved in the program. We'll have counselors there. We'll have supervisors there, and we'll keep an eye on them and make sure we get them in the right track so we can get them to graduate. We expect probably a 6 month to 1 year program. If they successfully complete the program, then their charges could be dismissed. The prosecutor agrees with that. And so there's an incentive to complete the program and get them on the right track. And then we're hoping by the time they're done with the program, whether it's 6 months to a year, they've got the tools, the resources to move on with their lives and keep going in the same direction that they've been working on. As I said, that substance abuse is another problem. We're probably looking at expanding that maybe to substance abuse court as part of the mental health court, but that probably another year or 2 down the road. We want to get the mental health court up and running first. Probably looking at 3 to 4 months before getting that officially started, because as you know, we've moved into show me courts January 1st, and we're still trying to get that set up properly because half their system is not working right, so we can't import any old cases right now. So once we get show me courts up and running properly at the court, we'll move into the mental health court. Yes, Councilman.
It's Judge Nigro, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have said my name. I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Judge Nigro.
That's what I just wanted to make sure. I think I appointed you last summer, so. You saying there's no additional cost to this, so are they going to be meeting on the same night as regular court?
Yes, so it will be just another docket I will add to my regular court docket. So right now, we have a docket at 9 a.m., 10:30, 1, 2, and 4. Probably have this at 11 a.m. or 11:30.
So you're talking about minor offenses that you keep seeing coming back in front of you. What happens when we have someone that has a little bit stronger offense? Is there a mental health? Do we offer them mental health inside of our jail? Or if they go down to Cass County, are they getting any type of mental health down there?
There is, well, I'll talk about Cass County and just the other courts. Right now, there is no mental health program in any of the courts in Cass County, and I'm talking about Cass County Circuit Court as well. There may be, as if they're on probation, they may get some treatment or resources available, but there's nothing pre-trial available to any defendant through the court system. And then detention, other than maybe contacting this Nikki Oakes to offer them a source resources, I don't believe there's anything else available, but I'll let the chief talk on that.
Part of the strategy of the police department in the next budget year is to start training a number of officers into crisis intervention training. And so that is even with our detention staff, where they attend a course, 40 hours on how to deal with the mentally ill. And so through that program, which goes all the way back to the mid-90s, the whole principle is to engage with community resources. And again, we would be engaging with Compass. And so what I see from my side of the police department is Judge Nigro's mental health court is going to fit is going to fit in that cog for mental health needs in our community, and we will be able to access that for resources through Compass, and he will be doing the same thing. And so we have several entities coming together at the same time. And then the police department and Compass are also looking at finding somebody with a mobile crisis response for mental health issues, but also combining that with homelessness.
So what I got out of you, this would be mostly coming from an officer's perspective or the judge's perspective, that these people need a mental health court. Can a person self-refer themselves into the mental health side to get help?
If they don't have a case pending,
Well, no, if they have a case pending is what I'm saying.
yes, they could. Like if they come to court and whatever reason, one of their explanations is I've got some mental health issues, I've got a medical diagnosis, then yes, then they could bring that up to me. And sometimes just talking with them, I will pick up on that. And I'm like, do you have a medical diagnosis now, some mental health issues? And they'll say, you know, I may be bipolar, whatever it may be. And then I'm like, well, then I would offer the mental health court to them. But if they mention it on their own, I would also give that as an option, yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know we talked a little bit before about adding a social worker to city staff to kind of assist in situations like this. Chief Lyons, do you think that would fit into this?
Yeah, what I'm finding is I've already had discussions with Chief Zimmerman and Raymore, and both of our cities are looking at similar things. And so we're going to be exploring that with Compass on trying to find that social worker through a grant that would work for both agencies, but also be a mobile crisis. So they would be able to be called out to the scene where we're making contact and be able to handle both issues. And so I met last week with Compass staff and learned that they had just hired a housing coordinator that is helping with homelessness. And so what we're finding is that not only are we interested in this, but several other entities are too. And so I think we're having really good maybe inertia or momentum into this. So we're hoping that we can start looking for those grants and make some applications.
Right, thank you.
Rob, go ahead.
Yes, so when you say it's voluntary, then it's not part of their sentence or their fine. You just suggest that they show up at 11 for the court, or who makes the decision that they go to the court? I heard the last conversations, but are you the one still making the first determination?
Right, so there's a couple different ways. The program itself would be voluntary. So if they want to enroll into the mental health court process, that's voluntary. They would then have to come, we'd have a scheduled dockets for them as part of that process. It would be basically a contract with the court and the city prosecutor on if they do certain things, they'd get a certain benefit. And that would be one, getting the evaluation, doing any treatment as recommended, staying current on that treatment, reporting monthly to me. It may be also community service. It may also be seeking employment, finding employment, working on different levels. And then if they complete the program as it is to that person, then the case most likely would be dismissed. It'd probably be on a dismissal track. If somebody's found guilty, then I could order them to do a mental health evaluation, but you run into the court, municipal court, is if they don't have the cost to pay for that or the treatment. So it's a little different where this would be a program where they're going to pick up the cost of the evaluation and treatment, and not the court, and then not the defendant.
Go ahead.
So I guess I'm just hypothetically, what happens if these people keep coming back after you put them in court? I mean, is that just, I guess I'm trying to figure out how many chances we're going to give them in the mental health court if they keep having the same type of offenses. Are you just going to keep them in there? You're going to pull them out and actually put them back in regular court, or?
Oh, you mean if they're in the program and then they're still picking up new charges?
Correct.
Not doing what well, then they get kicked out of the program, and then they go back to just regular
So
prosecution.
there are rules that they got to follow to stay inside that program to have their cases
Right. One of the rules would be no new
dispensed, is that
charges.
the word you
Correct.
used? Okay.
Yes. And there'll be a little bit of flexibility. If it's a situation where a person's, addicted to drugs with mental health, and then they test positive on a UA in the first month of the program, I'm going to probably do some type of sanction, but I'll keep them in the program, hopefully to get them clean down the road. But if we're 3 or 4 months down and they're still using on a regular basis, then they're not going to stay in the program.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You mentioned when you were talking about no cost to the city, but you said there will be extra work for the staff. Do you envision any new staff help?
I don't envision any new staff at the court right now. No, I mean, as far as additional employees?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Anybody else? I mean, I strongly support this program. I think it's much needed, and I'm surprised there's no other mental health court in Cass County. Surprises me, so I'm strongly in support of this, so.
Good.
Anybody else? Do you have anything else?
No, that's it. I just wanted to answer any questions, and let you know we were going to get started on it and make sure the city was aware of it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item B, removal of animals from vehicles under dangerous weather conditions.
We're coming tonight with, to talk about a revision to Chapter 4, Section 59, limitation on numbers kept, comma, maintained. And so we're looking to look at this ordinance and revise it and make some suggestions, taking away A and B of that right now. One of the issues that came up in regards to that is if somebody is already at the limit and they take in an animal that they find abandoned and they're trying to find a home for that, whether with the owners on social media, they could inadvertently be guilty of violating this statute. And so we're trying to change the wording and change the intent of it. And so our revision would be that the owning and harboring or keeping of 4 dogs and cats total over 6 months of age upon any property in the city shall be deemed a nuisance upon adequately showing that the premises is so situated would not constitute a nuisance to the neighborhood. And so there's basically a clause that we would add to that, and that the owner can seek a permit to keep more, and that would be by an animal control officer going out, doing an inspection, doing an incident report, and then having a letter issued if they're going to maintain it more than for a prolonged period of time, if they're going to go above the 4-dog limit. And so I think this goes in hand with some of the changes that we had done previously in regards to updating our ordinances. This is more similar in nature what was done in the city of Raymore and Overland Park and Leawood. And so again, we're taking it from peers that are close to us. And so that is the first revision that we are suggesting.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Okay, so 4 cats/dogs total, correct?
Yes.
And this does not count chickens?
No, this is about just dogs and cats.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I had some people concerned about chickens.
Right.
Rob, go ahead. Oh. Anybody else? So did we just talk about C or did we just talk about B?
C.
You talked about C and not B, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so.
That was my mistake.
So no other questions on C, you need to talk about B now.
Yeah. The police chief made a mistake. I inadvertently just switched them on my notes.
And me.
In regards to a new ordinance, we're seeking a new ordinance in regards to the removal of animals from vehicles under dangerous weather conditions. Currently, our practice is that animal control officer has to call for a police officer to forcibly enter a vehicle that's where animals are left unintended, whether that's break the window and enter the vehicle to get the dog or cat, if the weather is to the point it's hazardous, or that is they would use their lock picking tool to get through the car or whatever. And so this ordinance change would allow the animal control officer to make that entry. We carry a spring punch that just is activated by a button that breaks the window. Animal control officer would have the authority to do that under certain conditions, and that would be that the animals were placed in a situation or weather conditions that endangered its life of the pet. And so this does not negate the back end of this ordinance. We would actually have a policy that would go in hand with this, that would require that the animal control officer document this, There would be some requirements in regards to how they would use this. There would be procedures, there would be a report, and there would be pictures. And then eventually, if there was an officer that came to the scene, they would be a witness to whatever had taken place. And once again, this was actually, we took a copy of this from City of Raymore, and Overland Park, Kansas is where we got the ideas for the wording of this ordinance.
Any questions? Seeing none, item D, golf rate survey comparison results.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to go through something that we do annually, but we don't typically raise our rates on an annual basis, but wanted to just bring some information to your attention and get some feedback, also put some recommendations for you to look at in the information. But one item I'd like you all to note is that every golf course is its own unique entity as far as how it schedules its rates. So there might be different times, days where those rates may change. I took the rate that was closest to our rate at that particular day and time. So for comparison reasons, it may not be exact because none of us have exact days and times that we're trying to fill. But I did choose the closest rate. So when you look at the area survey, you can see what people charged in 2021 and what people are looking to charge in 2022. I did have somebody ask me earlier and noted that Fred Arbanis Golf Course, which is owned by Jackson County, is not doing a rate increase for 2022. I did reach out and speak with the golf professional at Fred Arbanis Golf Course, and they are primarily not raising their rates because they did have a chemical mishap last year that kept them closed for a majority of the year. So they decided it was in their best interest not to do a rate increase after displacing so many people with that chemical application problem. So, you know, as you can see from the results, and once again, I know we have a full docket, so I won't go into all the details that are in front of you, but we're competitively priced. We have been competitively priced in the marketplace. We will continue to be there because that is what we need to do. But the primary reasons for my recommendations to the council as far as the rate increases are, as many of you know, everything is more expensive. Pretty much everything that we do to run and operate the golf course is more expensive than it was last year. Rates continue to skyrocket in certain areas. And then we have the secondary issue, which is obviously staying competitive with our payroll to our employees as that continues to change and it is fluid and as dynamic as it is right now in the marketplace. Once again, just trying to keep our position on our foothold to be able to hire our staff, and we have a lot of hours that we cover, so we want to remain competitive in those areas. So I feel that the rates are justified and once again well within the averages for our region. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Go ahead.
When was the last time we raised our rates?
We actually raised by $1 last year.
Okay. The other thing, just for people that aren't golfers and maybe aren't new up here, is we do have a Belton rate. So a Belton citizen that goes out and shows that they're a Belton resident will get a discount on the rates out there, and that's always been in place since, I think, '99 at least, since we opened it back up. So,
Correct.
and those are going up a little bit, but they're still underneath what someone from outside of our community would pay. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that.
Anybody else? Anything else?
The only thing would be is, and part of this came out of the audit as far as you all giving direction as far as the prices, but, or I shouldn't say come out of the audit, I apologize. Do you all, how would, I guess Sheila, I apologize, how will we make a motion for the rate increases? We would be looking at, if these rates that I proposed to you all, we would be looking at a March implementation as far as the rates to coincide with the golf season.
There's not an ordinance or resolution required. We just wanted to document that
Yes,
we've
sorry.
done the comparison, and as long as nobody has any concerns, we'll go ahead and
Make those changes.
proceed.
I'm okay with it.
Sorry, I misspoke there earlier, so I apologize.
All right, thank you. Item E, Learning and Career Center lease, Southview Commerce Center, Building 4.
On the January 25th agenda, there will be a lease for council to approve between the city and North Point. North Point is actually providing space, 3,180 square feet, for 20 years for the city to use as a workforce training center. And I just wanted to let you guys know that that will be coming. It will not cost the city any money.
You said it doesn't cost city money. Who's paying for the upkeep? Is that West Central? Is that a co-lease, or is that a lease to us and we?
What will be coming to you at the next meeting will be a lease between ourselves and North Point. At some point in the future, we will do a sublease,
Okay.
so that it can be staffed.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Anybody else? Thank you. Item F, North Point Apartments, Chapter 100 bonds.
We anticipate that at the next meeting, the Chapter 100 bond documents will be coming to council for approval. They're already, we are just waiting on some final comments from North Point's lender, but we anticipate that they'll be ready by January 25th, and if not, you'll see them soon after. This is the documents that will transfer title of the property to the city for the tax abatement. The project investment is $44 million. Currently, annual taxes that are being generated is $825 a year. This project, that would total over 20 years, $16,500 to all the taxing jurisdiction. The pilots that will be generated from this agreement will generate $3.8 million plus for the taxing jurisdictions.
Any questions? Item G, TIF 5-year report.
So at the next meeting, we will be having a public hearing. This public hearing is required by state statute. And even though the hearing is supposed to be once every 5 years, they're based specifically for each project. So what we've done to make sure that we're always in compliance with statute is we have decided to go ahead and do this annually to make sure that nothing ever gets missed. And so what will happen is Carolyn will give a report. It will also be printed out in your packet. She'll give you the status and an update of each TIF project. And then what will happen is the city council will determine whether or not make a motion to declare that each of the projects, one by one, is either making satisfactory progress under the proposed time schedule of the TIF plan, or that they are not making satisfactory progress. And so we'll do the hearing, and then that will be your guys' part. One of you will make a motion, and then you guys will all approve it.
Any questions? Seeing none. Item H, 2022 Hazardous Household Waste Program.
Every year, the city participates in household hazardous waste program. And as part of it, we have to have a agreement with Mid-America Regional Council to do it. So at the next council meeting, we'll be bringing forth an agreement between us and Mark to put together the annual household hazardous waste program.
Is that gonna be in Belton this year, or is that? Don't we flip that every year between us and Raymore?
Yeah, it's flipped every year. Do we do it twice a year? It's
Once a year here.
and once, yeah, it's once here and then once there.
Okay, so
So-
it's twice a year now?
No,
No.
this year here, next year it'll be there, and then
Yeah,
back and
it's
forth
back and
every year.
Okay. But there's also a drop-off spot in Lee Summit that residents can take it to?
Multiple different drop-off
Awesome.
spots throughout the metropolitan area.
Okay.
Do you have any dates for that yet, Greg?
No, I do not.
I think it's usually in the fall. Okay.
Anybody else? Seeing none, item I, on-call professional havoc services.
The next meeting on January 25th, we will be bringing resolutions to approve on-call contracts for HVAC services in city facilities. We advertised this and the closing date was December 21st. We actually had 10 respondents. 3 of those 10 respondents were selected, and currently we are checking references, and then after we check references, the successful ones will be brought to council to approve an on-call contract with each of them.
Any questions? Item J, access agreement with Cass County Sheriff's Department for fire training.
On the agenda tonight, we've got an ordinance with an agreement between the fire department and Cass County to do some training. I think everybody's aware that they had bought the old Welcome Inn, and so they're scheduled to do their abatement on their asbestos, and they have a fairly tight timeline on demolition as we go. So it's in front of you tonight. What I also wanted to ask for was 2 readings. It's a formality. You guys have to vote on this because it's an agreement between another governmental agency. And so it puts the contract in place and then allows us to get the proper insurance certification for that. So
Any questions?
happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Seeing none, item K, Cass County Crime Commission. Let me start, okay. Early last spring, early summer, I was reached out to by the Sheriff Weber from Cass County Sheriff's Office. He is wanting to start a Cass County Crime Commission and try to focus on the career criminals. He has went to every agency in the county, and everybody seems to be on board this time. The Sheriff's Office, all the police departments, all the cities, the judges, the prosecutors. So we're moving forward with doing that. We're actually negotiating the documents and stuff right now. Not negotiating, but we're talking about how it's going to be created, and then we'll bring it back an official document for us to ratify and move forward with that. I told him I'm in 100%. I think it's going to be a great thing. Part of this tearing Welcome Inn down, they're going to build a new building, and it's going to be a satellite sheriff station, which is going to house this career criminal unit that the sheriff wants to develop. So I'm 100% in support, and told them I believe that you all would be too. I can't imagine you guys would not be, but that's why we're bringing this information to you guys now, and then we'll bring back the final documents for your approval then, hopefully soon. We wanted it sooner, but some things have happened. So, but I think it's going to be a great deal for the county, city, and the region. So, Shirley, you got anything?
There will be 3 parts to this. It will be a part process. Every single part of the process will be brought to council for your approval because it will all require an intergovernmental agreement. And so this first step that will come to you first, hopefully by January 25th. We don't know for sure, but it will be coming soon, will be just creating an advisory commission or a coalition made up of the mayors of each of the cities, and also the sheriff, the prosecutor, and the county commissioners. And this committee would act as a liaison between the county, the cities, and the citizens, communicating the needs that law enforcement has in order to help impact the public safety in the community, also letting the citizens know what those needs are. So if, for example, if there was a funding need, that would be communicated, and the mayors will act as that liaison to their communities and also to their city councils, or in some of the cities, it's boards of aldermen. I don't know if any of you guys have any questions, but
Are you gonna say the other? Yeah, just talk about the other two then.
okay.
Yeah.
The second part would be creating an intelligence group. This group would be working on the intel to actually make an impact on the crime and criminals in Cass County. And then the third part would actually be, part 3 will be actually creating a task force that takes employees from each of the law enforcement agencies, and they will be working in tandem together to help make an impact throughout the county on criminal activity in the county.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Sheila, is this something that's going to take place at the old Welcome Inn
Yes.
building?
Yes.
I get asked often what all is happening there and what it's going to be, and I don't really know how to answer them. So,
Well, yeah, there's questions. A lot of people say, well, there's going to be a jail, which I think if you have.
There's no jail per se. I think they will have a holding cell, but no jail like we have here in Belton or they have in the Cass County. No jail.
Unfortunately, I think the county agreed to house federal prisoners one day, and this got announced, so people assumed that's what they were talking about, but it's two separate items, so
Yeah, totally.
it's nice, good Facebook rhetoric.
Chief, do you have any thoughts, comments about this?
I think that this is a great idea, and I think the time has come, and I think that all from the law enforcement side of it, I think that the intelligence sharing and then the task force acting upon that stuff is actually going to be very productive.
Thank you. Anybody else? Item L, recycling options.
I put at your at the dais in front of each of you the part of the survey that was done that had to do with recycling, and then the very last page is just a simple cost of what it would cost to provide weekly curbside recycling or a single site recycling center. The prices are $6.73 a month for weekly curbside and $5.27 a month for single site. The reason that single site recycling is so expensive at this point is because it includes site preparation. And what I did is we don't actually have, it will cost about $1 million, close to $1 million to do the site preparation and do all of that work. We don't have that money sitting there, so I did a calculation of if we did special obligation bonds to be able to borrow the money in order to pay for that. And just as an estimate, I don't know what rates would be if you guys chose to do that, but I feel like this is a fair, reasonable estimate. After we paid that off, I have a 3-year repayment timeline. I just picked 3 years. You could pick a different repayment type timeline. You could go less and it would be a little bit cheaper or more expensive at first, and then once we got those obligations paid off, we could reduce the price. Just so you know, the amount for just operating costs would be about $2.17 a month.
Go ahead.
After we got those those site
I
preparation.
think there's a couple of us left here from 3 years ago, but remind me, aren't we having a fee reduction because the carts are coming off in July?
They will be coming off, but we are continuing to grow, so we're continuing to continue buying more truckloads. We will have purchased 2 truckloads of carts this year. Some of those are replacing, and so once we get to that point and we make that final debt payment, we'll do a recalculation of how much we can reduce the trash rate.
So my question to you on going back, I mean, at that time we had 7,200 households, we handed out 7,200 carts. Now that we're growing, do we charge somebody an additional fee up front for only having that cart for a year?
We do not.
We do not. Okay.
Go ahead, Ron.
This single site, that's a manned site, correct?
Yes.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
I did hear from the trash company. They do not feel like, I know there was a lot of talk about recycling education. They actually stated in their letter to me that with their past experience with our population, that they think that the education will be well received and there won't be any problems.
Maybe based on, I don't know when we want to implement this, but I think based on the survey and the cost structure, I'd almost basically just, I would go with the weekly curbside. Is it weekly or bi-weekly?
They gave me a price for bi-weekly. The price that you have in front of you is weekly. I already know how difficult and confusing it is for residents with bulky trash pickup.
That is a correct statement.
Doing bi-weekly instead of weekly, I think would be so
For no more-
confusing and
No
would,
more costs of going
it is a
weekly.
little bit. So for bi-weekly, it's $5.48 a month.
For $1.30, I'm gonna go weekly, so we don't have that.
Problem.
What week is this?
Yes. That would be staff's preference.
I would tell you to do, I would say, I would recommend weekly curbside for the additional fee, and I don't know, we start this at our contract in July, or do we start it sooner than that?
We will see about the timing. So if council approves a contract, they will have to order a truck, a new recycle truck. Right now, it's not, we're not getting things very timely all the
So
time.
we're not gonna buy this recycle cart, is what you're saying?
We would buy the cart.
We would?
We would buy the cart. We would own the cart. The plan is to get the exact same cart that we have for trash and get a different color lid. That will help us have a smaller inventory. We won't have to have double the inventory, and we will just have to have double the lids so that we can switch them off. I don't really know what's going to happen also too, if once we start offering recycling, if that means that somebody that has 3 trash carts is now going to want to turn in 1 or 2 of their carts. So there's a lot of up in the air and logistics, but the biggest logistic is how long will it take that new trash truck or the trash company to get that new cart, and they're thinking it will take several months. So I don't know that it would necessarily start in July, but once we know what direction council would like to go, I was really working hard on getting cost options so that you guys could make that decision. Then we'll start kind of getting into the details.
So what I just heard from you, we can actually just take a lid out there to somebody and just replace their lid.
We would want to wash the trash cart out for them. We would bring it
Okay.
back. We would take care of that. We definitely, want a clean cart for recycling.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Did they entertain the idea, or were they able to bid opt-in services where folks who want to recycle could pay for it and not everyone had to? I mean, in the discussions, how open to that were they?
Not at all open.
They're not. I've just gotten feedback that Constable, their services allow for opt-in and opt-out on recycling. So, I mean, there are providers that do it. And just on the feedback I've been seeing, the folks that want it, really want it, and the folks that really don't want to do it, you know, will be upset, but that's anything.
Anybody else?
I guess my question.
Mayor, is it people more on the curbside, or you guys want single side? I mean, I guess that's the question, to give staff direction and make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah. For the price, I'm for curbside, and plus that's what the residents want too in the survey. So, what about you three?
Curbside's fine if that's what the people want.
I mean, yeah, curbside.
Okay, I'm going to be awkward. Dave, I know how much you love Facebook, so I actually already have a Facebook survey up. So I kind of want to see what people on social media have to say. They're the ones that we hear from the most.
Unfortunately, you're going to hear about 20 people, and the people that don't want it will be the loudest. But the people, I mean, there are a lot of people that want it that you'll hear from, but I don't think you're not going to get a good gauge. But I mean, we did a survey with, 483 residents, I think it was, and that's what came out of that. And that was all from all parts of the city. It wasn't just from, one neighborhood. So I think it's a good gauge of our community. I was always in favor of a single site, so I've changed my mind just based on cost and I think what the community wanted too. So, I mean.
Mayor,
Yes.
I think, Sheila, one of the problems we've had in the past is people just don't know what they can recycle and what they can't. And I know in our case at a home, things wouldn't be taken with labels on them and such, and you had to get the labels off. It was kind of complicated. I think people are going to have to be educated on this can work, but they need to know how it's going to work.
And GFL is going to spend that time while they're preparing, waiting for that truck to be delivered, if council decides to go with curbside, to start doing some educating, make sure that people know.
That would certainly help. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just something I'm concerned about looking at the, budget summary letter here. I see, and not to conflate water billing and trash billing, but it is on the same bill, and when people complain about one, they complain about both, but maybe it's more specific. If Little Blue is increased, we anticipate an increase from them. That'll average about $339 a month per customer. Plus weekly curbside, we're looking at $10-12 a month for the average customer on the water sewer trash bill. Yeah? That's just something to consider. Residents want recycling. I would be thrilled with curbside recycling personally. I'm just, a little nervous at the total figure that's gonna come out of this. That's maybe just for everybody to consider, not a question. I know I'm staring at you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Item M, FY 2023 proposed budget.
At the dais, I handed out the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget to each of you. We will be spending the next several work sessions going over this budget a part at a time. I actually put the calendar in your packet. And also, if any citizens or anyone that is watching this meeting is interested in seeing that, they can always come to City Hall and take a look at it, but it is also on our website, and there they can view the proposed budget in its entirety on the website. The big points that, I just am going to go over it briefly with you tonight, because the next item is going to go into detail on the capital improvements. But the big stories of this budget really is the revenue that our community is getting from Chewy. Chewy is anticipated to have $80 million of sales in the state of Missouri. If if there is a sale that is a shipment that it goes to Kansas or to Oklahoma, we don't get sales tax on that. But if there is a sale that goes anywhere in the state of Missouri, St. Louis, Mexico, Missouri, Paris, Missouri, anywhere, and it gets shipped out of our location, we will get sales tax revenue on that. And so the impact of $80 million of annual sales is $1 million to the general fund and $400,000 to the public safety sales tax fund, $400,000 to the park fund, $400,000 to the street fund, and $400,000 to the capital improvement sales tax fund. And so Chewy is a change and has made a significant impact on the services that our city can provide to residents. One of the other things that I really noticed when I was doing this proposed budget and we were working on this is this year has been a great year for building permit revenues. We've had a lot of stuff going on, and so our building permit revenues in fiscal year 22 are going to be much higher, and then you'll see them decrease for next year. And that's because we had so much activity in this current year. And so I really want to point that out to you guys. The other changes over the overall budget, I'm not going to get into, specific funds tonight. That will be in future weeks. But I do want to tell you a big change. Department heads and myself, we spent a lot of time looking at personnel changes. In the proposed budget is a 3% cost of living adjustment for all city employees. Also a one-step merit increase for eligible employees on their anniversary date. There are a lot of pay plan position grade adjustments. We looked at the majority of them don't have a dollar impact. It doesn't go with it doesn't include a raise. The benefit for employees would be that an employee would have more years before they topped out and weren't eligible for the one-step merit increase. Our pay scale has 18 steps in it, so if an employee is at the very top of the scale, is on a step 18, they're maxed out. When it comes time for their annual review, there's not another step to move to. But for our entry-level positions, the positions of our like street maintenance worker or even golf maintenance worker, we were having a hard time getting those positions filled and also retaining employees. And one of the reasons for that is wages around the area are increasing. We've seen inflation, and we're also experiencing something in nationwide where for the last several decades, our workforce has always grown. So our population between the ages of 16 and 64 continues to grow until 2019. In 2019, it plateaued, and in 2020, for the very first time, it actually decreased very slightly by 0.1%, but that decrease is going to continue because we have a slowing birth rate in this country, and so we're kind of metamorphosing into a labor market that none of us have probably seen in our lifetime. And so it's going to make some changes, and all employers are kind of adjusting to that. I read about a month ago that Hobby Lobby, their beginning wage is going to be $18 for everyone. And so with those grade changes, we have our lowest grade is the custodian groundskeeper at the police department. That was a grade 19. This is just an example. We would take it up to a 24, and so instead of beginning at $11.88 an hour. We brought it up to $13.84 an hour for beginning. It's not a huge jump, but we're trying to get up there, and we tried to do the best allocation with the budget dollars that were available. I can tell you that with these changes, all current full-time employees would be making at least $15 an hour. The custodian groundskeeper, we've been advertising it. We can't attract anyone, and I'm guessing that part of it is the wages. So I think this will help. And also, we did add positions. There are a proposed 12 full-time positions added throughout the funds and 1 part-time position. And again, Chewy revenue helped make that possible. In this budget, also, we have $69.4 million of capital outlay. $56.9 million of that, Greg's going to talk about tonight. It's improvements. And then we also have $8.8 million for equipment and $3.7 million of vehicles. And our operating budget that is included in here totals throughout the funds that have employees totals a little over $41 million. So we have a lot of capital, and our operating budget is growing. And I don't know if you guys have any questions. We'll definitely be going into detail about this over the next several meetings.
Go ahead, Ron.
I don't want to get into the weeds here, but I've just discussed what you wrote here in your introduction. First of all, it says that there's a new traffic unit, but in the same paragraph, practically, it says that fines will decrease. That sounds contrary to me.
Well, our fine revenue is scheduled. I am trying to look at what has been happening realistically. And so when I do a budget projection, I'm looking at what is happening, and I want to try to what has been happening, the trend.
Are you saying the cost of each fine is going down, or the total amount? Total amount is going down because of less fines.
Yes.
Right. Even though we'll have a 3 or 4 person unit, that'll be solely based on traffic.
Yes.
Okay.
I hear you, and I'm just going to be completely honest. I did the revenue
Big question mark.
projections completely independent and didn't even know that Chief Lyons was proposing the traffic unit until after. And so
it'd probably take a year for that to iron out.
It
anyway.
might, but like that.
The other thing I noticed is that, like you said, 12 positions, but 3 additional firefighter positions were not accepted. Was that because we need street workers more than firemen, or fire people?
It's actually because I was trying to balance the public safety sales tax and the fire changes, like the fire with the there are some crazy, we're having a hard time getting paramedics.
Okay.
We are also having a hard time attracting EMTs. So we did some grade changes that will cost money in the fire department. And so there was not enough money to do those grade changes. I mean, why should we add positions if we can't get them filled?
Right. Or lose some that we already have.
Yes. And so we made it a priority to do the grade changes and the salary changes in order to try to solve for the problem of not being able to retain and attract people. And so we ended up not being able to add those 3 positions. I would like to remind you all that fire did have 3 positions added in this current year.
Go ahead, Perry.
I can imagine the labor force issues you're going through. And didn't you say, Mayor, this next year we have a human resource slotted to go on staff?
It's in the budget,
which will be really, really helpful and take a load off of what you're trying to do. We need that bad.
Go ahead.
Chief Lyons, I think, Rob, we already have traffic officers, if I understand this right. We have someone on each patrol that is dedicated traffic officers if they don't have regular calls going on. We just don't have, we used to have a sergeant over the traffic unit back in the day, and they would work, are they gonna work different shifts, like a 12 to 12, or are they gonna still be on the same type of shifts that they're doing today?
Yeah, currently they're considered part-time. They have patrol duties that take them away from doing traffic currently. When they become, if this is approved, then we would look at putting them on their own shift. We would try to place them and where they're lapping over during our high traffic accident periods. So we're looking at several different ways to deploy them, but probably they will probably, two of them will be on a 12-hour shift that overlap or day shifts, and then on the opposite wheel the same. And so they would be off on Sundays, which is a low traffic accident day for us. But we'll try to put them on the road when we actually have higher crashes.
Because I do see a officer sometimes on a motorcycle, so I'm assuming that's a traffic officer that's doing that and not really going to calls.
Yes, he's actually responding on calls and doing traffic stuff at the same time.
Okay.
And so they do follow up on serious accidents as they can, but as a traffic unit, they would be able to do that as with more priority.
So I guess my next question is, we gave the police department 6 positions 3 years ago. And last time I think we talked openly, it was 4 positions we still needed. I don't know how many you're trying to add to make this traffic unit, but how quick we're going to get there and how we're going to find these people?
The traffic unit was not going to be completed with additional, it's with existing personnel. So it was with those that we're currently staffed with. The only people that would be in addition to would be the part-time animal control officer and the property officer, and then potentially the detective, which we had actually put in for a grant to partially pay for that.
How close are you to fully staffed? I know at one time we were still 4 officers down, so.
Yeah, we have 2 in the academy right now. I believe that we're 3 or 4 down.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Seeing none, item N, 5-year capital improvement plan.
So this evening I'm going to present the capital improvements plan. I put a copy of it at everybody's seat for you. Basically, it's an update of the one that we presented last year. So I will kind of go quickly through some of them because we've talked about some of them. We've issued contracts on some, so you have a pretty good background on some of these items are. I'm going to start with the sheets that look like this, that have a picture of a map of where they're located at, and give you just a brief description of what's going on. As most of you know, we've been working on a public works facility this last week. We moved the engineering group out there, and so we're slowly getting it all put together and going forward. This next year, we need to build a wash bay and build our brine system. There's 9 buildings out there. We've only put 1 roof on. As you know, we're going to have to put roofs on every one of these buildings, and roofs only last about 20 years, and so you can probably see roofs. And I know it's not a glamorous item, but it's an item that we need to put on all of our buildings. And so we're going to continue to work on our facility, but the price every year will keep going down and down and down of what needs to be done out there. The next item on facilities is number 2 and 3 are both for the senior center. There's going to be building improvements out there and work done on the parking lots. This is handled through the city clerk's office. If you have any specific questions about that, I'm sure Andrea would be glad to answer them. And then moving on, facility number 4 is work going to be done at the fire stations. This was included in, it came from Chief Sapp, who put in there that they're going to do work on painting apparatus bays, doing exterior trim, upgrading to LED fixtures, repairing deteriorated doors, doing some asphalt work, replacing those steel frame doors that are rusted and adding security cameras. In general, work around their fire stations. Facility number 5 is at the golf course, and I believe that was just doing all parking lot work there this next summer. The next group is from the Parks Department. As I said, this is a citywide capital improvements plan. It's just not Public Works. So he's got 5 different projects in there, from repairing the Markey Trail, which if you've been on it, you understand what he's doing out there. He was going to do work for playground repairs, including tearing out surface material, adding bonded rubber, and adding a night climber and swing set. You can go to Parks number 3 is replacing a fire panel at High Blue. Parks number 4 is replastering the entire pool floor and walls. And Parks number 5 is a new epoxy flooring system. And I believe Brian's here if you got any questions concerning those items.
What's the Markey, I'm sorry, I've never been on the Markey Trail, I don't think.
It's just a asphalt trail that goes through the park, and it's just basically busted up where there's big cracks and there's big movement in it. Tree roots have moved part of it, and so it's just going to be repaved and smoothed out, so it's easier to walk.
So none of this has to do with the trail that goes underneath 71 or 49, right?
No,
Where
this is at Markey Parking.
where the lights are busted out and everything.
No, this is just around the trail that's at Markey Park.
Okay.
The next group.
Hold on.
Wait,
I'm
I
sorry.
think-
Didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to add, so this past year, we did some seal coat and crack fill work in the parking lot. And so we're trying to get our maintenance program with our paving and our trails on the same system for each of the parks. So the biggest problem at Markey is we have a lot of tree roots that grow underneath. Well, that pushes the asphalt up and they become a liability issue. So, so we're going to cut areas out, put new asphalt in, and then we'll crack fill and seal the whole entire track out there at Markey Park.
Okay. I just think it's really neat to be able to go under 71 undetected. But you're really undetected because you don't know if you're going to run over somebody or an animal or what, because all the lights are busted out and the surface is uneven. And the trail on either side is really, really neat. Comes up there by Menards and goes by your facility. But is there any plans in the future for doing that?
Well,
or upgrading that?
that particular area under 71 is just an issue, period, because of the lack of flood control there. Every single time we have a huge rain, we have to take our skid loader down there and
Right.
because the mud creates a slippery surface for walkers. So I'll have to look at those other issues.
Okay.
I haven't been down there for probably a year.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thanks.
Our next group on the list is our stormwater projects that we're working on. Stormwater number 1 is Cambridge West Culvert, and that is where the low water crossing is. We're going to design that low water crossing. We're actually in the process of doing that now.
Just for the record, you did announce when that was going to be opened back up, because everybody is asking.
That's Cambridge East. That's on the other side of town.
This is different.
This is that low.
Oh,
This is the
west.
low one.
Okay, all right, sorry.
You want me to just hit
no,
that while
no,
we're
no,
here?
No, we'll change. Well, sorry, my bad.
This one's going to open January.
Keep going. I'm sorry. My
It
mistake.
will be open January 25th. But this is replacing that culvert with a bigger culvert. Yeah, it'll be raised up so it's flat. It won't be a low water crossing anymore. And of course, in order to do that, we're going to have to do some work south in that ditch to make that stream a little bit lower and flows a little better, so we can make that drain through there. Height and Bryan is off 163rd Street. Is a neighborhood that has some flooding issues. That is on our list of projects to complete, and that is basically putting in a pipe so that it doesn't flood in that area. The next one is what is officially called in the budget Buena Vista Stormwater. It's what we also call the Spanish Villas, area, and that is to continue to design and get that built this summer, to build a detention pond in that area. Hargis Lake, of course, is an ongoing project that just has more funding in next year to finish off the project. Hawthorne and Redbud, that is where we're making the connections from basically Spanish Villas up to Hargis Lake and up to Baldwin area. We're going to try to get north of 58, but we'll just see how far we can get with the money that we have. And those are our stormwater projects that we have. The next group is transportation projects. The first one is to build the road down to the dog park. We have an agreement with the developer as they're building the dog park, and we're working on the road. They actually graded it out for us, so it's going to make it pretty easy to accomplish. The next one after that is North Scott. North Scott project is basically doing a maintenance project on this stretch. So we are going to repair the sidewalks and the curbs that are through there. And then we're also going to work with the property owners. There's several driveways that are not used. They've got them barricaded off. So the places they have 2 or 3 driveways, we're going to try to get it to one good driveway, one good access, if we can get them there. And that will help reduce incidents up there because there's less conflict points. And then at the end, pave the road and make it a 3-lane road from north to south. Then from basically Markey Parkway to the north, we can put a bike lane on it from there. Now, a lot of people asked, what happens if at some point we need the 4 lanes back? Well, that's just changing the striping, make it 4 lanes again. So we're going to start with a bike lane in case that's the way the grant was written to get the money. And so that's how it'll be constructed. So is there any questions about that? Move on. The next transportation one is every year we buy more metal and sheeting to make regulatory signs. Those are stop, yield signs, and all those type of signs you see on the side of the road. 58 in Powell is, of course, removing Peculiar Drive, making a connection from 173rd Street over to Peculiar Drive. And this project is at the point now where we're going to be contacting the landowners to try to get easements and going through that process of right-of-way. And what's that? We are not doing a public meeting because we have met with all the property owners one at a time. And so at this time, we're just going to keep moving forward because I think it's the interest of everybody I've talked to construct the job. There's really no interest except from a couple of developers who may want to slow the job down, but it's something that everyone else wants to accomplish. So we're not required to hold a public meeting. And from talking to several of you that you guys want the job, so we're going to keep moving forward.
I would like to have a public meeting just so the citizens can hear what's going on out there, because I haven't found anybody that's happy with 58 Highway when you get out there. So if we can try to alleviate some of the jams out there, I think these property owners would be more happy because citizens don't want to go out on 58 Highway. So I mean, I'm not saying we need to have a public meeting, but I think we need to let the citizens know that 58 Highway is going to be redone this year. And if it puts a little pressure on those property owners that are trying to stop us, I think that could help us.
I would agree that would be a lofty goal. The public meeting would be focused on the landowners and adjacent property owners, so the general public would generally not be there because the passers through usually don't go to those meetings. It's the people who actually own or live there who go to them and do them. As far as the viewpoints of some of the developers, their development ideas are not necessarily grounded in what people want, even though you think they would be, but I just continue to work with them the best I can. And the last one is the street preservation program that our crews carry out. This buys the materials to do stormwater work, to do paving work, to do curb work, and those type of items. It basically buys them the materials that they do and that we contract out just for our small program that we do. T6 is our street reconstruction program, which we finished the first bond issuance of this year. And of course, that we're going back in April to ask for the second bond issuance to continue this program.
That's what, this is the April ballot?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the
Just
April
just
ballot
making
one.
sure, just making sure.
And so those are our transportation projects. Yeah, that's not cash in the general fund or anything like that.
No, no, I'm
Don't
just
get
making
excited.
sure, just making sure.
The next group of them are our wastewater projects. We'll always continue to do our inflow and infiltration program, as always I refer to as I&I. That is to stop water from getting into our treatment system, which reduces backups and also reduces billing. The next one is string bank stabilization, and that's when we're trying to get our pipes back underground that got eroded above ground. The next one is a series of projects, as we talked about the northwest corner of Belton and trying to get developed. One of the things is we're going to need a bigger sewer to handle that area, and part of it is getting a sewer basically from Prospect and Markey up to the Little Blue Sewer District connection. And the next three projects basically are doing that. And then it's going to be up to the developers to go from Prospect over to Holmes and build their section of it. And so so we're ready to receive their waste, and then they have to be ready to deliver the waste to us. So the first project is going Markey Parkway lift station to Prospect, and that's changing that line from a 4-inch force main to an 8-inch force main. The next one is a new sewer connection from 155th Street to Little Blue Valley Sewer District. Where they're at is they're just a little bit north of 155th Street is where they have a manhole where we can connect to them. And basically we're trying to get the pieces so we can get to that manhole, and then we can deliver waste there without using any Kansas City infrastructure. And then the last one is the piece that's in between, which is a sewer that exists that we're working with Kansas City on attaining that sewer so we can go in and line it and use that sewer. And so that way we'll have a connection all the way up there. The next project is wastewater number 6. We have some capacity issues on Park Avenue. Some of you may have talked to residents who live in that area and know the situation with the backups. We're going to try to figure out a way to increase capacity in that area, and that way we can hopefully stop the backups that they're experiencing. And then wastewater number 7 is we have a report that tells us what capital improvements we need to make at the plant, and this is trying to execute the needed repairs at the plant. Plant's 37 years old. It will continuously need repairs. This will take care of repairs for the next couple of years, but there's always things to do, and that's why I'm always bringing you different contracts for repairs out at the plant. And then the last one is the wastewater treatment plant security gate. One of the things we need to do is right now, someone can actually just drive into our plant, and we need to actually secure the facility by putting a gate with a reader on it so we can lock up the plant all the time. Then we go into our water system. The group of water ones include, the first one is water line replacement. Right now we're working on 2 projects. The first project is on Allen Avenue that we're trying to get out to bid and get built this summer. And that is to go all the way down Allen Avenue across 162nd Street to get that water line constructed. The second one is to build in the alley behind Main Street where there's just a 2-inch water line currently. And it's where the restaurants are at and people now have a demand for water. We need to increase that to a standard 8-inch line. So we're going to go down the alley and then down Walnut and make the connection and correct that water problem that's there. So those are 2 projects that we're working on right now for water lines. The next thing we have is a water hydraulic plan that we're going to work on next year. Basically, a water hydraulic plan is a plan that tells you how much pressure you have in your system and then where you're going to build more lines, where you see development going, and to make sure that we have enough pressure and enough size of pipes to get the water where it needs to all around town. This hasn't been updated in several years, And so we're going to update that, especially since we have the opportunity to replace a serious amount of water lines, to make sure what water lines we take out, that we put the right size back in. And so this is an important study that helps us determine what needs to be installed. And then at the homes, the next one is water number 3 is the Holmes Pump Station. That's on Holmes, south of 155th Street. It's on the east side of the road. I don't know if you've ever seen it there, but it's against a creek in the bottoms, and that creek is digging out and digging closer and closer to our tank. And so we're going to need to do some work to stabilize that creek and get it straightened back out. The last 3 pages just basically is a summary of what we just went through. And so I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have on that. It's a lot of information, but it's a lot of stuff we've covered before.
Is the Cambridge pumping station the one you've talked about in the past? Is that in this year's budget? Is that the
You talking about the Sunset?
Sunset? That's it.
Yes, that's in this current budget. We're just waiting to try to get the parts in to get it fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
On North Scott, so the financial part on here is just our part, not including the grant, correct? No,
No,
that
it
is the grant.
Should be both in here.
Both are in there. I think the 25 is the grant.
Let me
On
get
this
the-
one page that's North Scott? Am I looking at something different?
Hold on, let me.
I think it's both.
It's
And
both.
I think it's broke out by how much is funded by the grant and how much we're
That looks like a
funding.
different year. So we don't get the grant until a different year than
The grant is, it's
the 1 million.
it's actually, it's in the wrong column. It should be the fiscal year 2024. But part of the deal is that we can apply for the money early and start building hopefully this fall.
Okay. Do we have an estimated time as to like how long that would take for the whole North Scott? Are we thinking the whole year? 2
It'd
years, 3?
be next construction summer.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's going to be somebody just literally just going up the road, replacing all the curbs on one side, then coming back and doing the other side, putting in the sidewalks the other side, coming back, and then paving it back.
Okay.
So,
And then the bike lane is just striping.
yep, it's just striping.
Okay. I think that's it. I'll probably have more to email you later.
It's fantastic.
Any other questions? So to answer my screw up on this Cambridge one, the one that you're currently working on, it's supposedly the 24th of January?
Contractor has given me a schedule where it will be completed on the 24th of January.
Perfect, thank you. Anybody else?
A lot of work.
Yeah. Seeing none, adjourn the work session and take a 5-minute recess. Call the regular meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance, Councilmember Lawson. Can I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Larkey,
Here.
Councilmember Powell, Councilmember Trutzel, Councilmember Kraft,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Goff,
Present.
Councilmember Lawson,
Here.
Councilmember Peak. Here.
We have a quorum. At this time, I would like to veer from the agenda and take a moment of silence for Councilman Tim Savage, who we lost the last couple of weeks. So at this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence. Thank you, and Tim, rest in peace. You gave 21 years of your life to the citizens of this city, and I appreciate it. No personal appearances at this time. Consent agenda. One motion, non-debatable, to approve the recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have questions about D and E, so I guess I gotta take those out.
You want to remove D and E. All right. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Just, attorney, do we need to replace or take out, was it K? I don't know. If we're appointing a city council person, do they got to abstain from that?
No, they do not.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of consent agenda except for items D and E?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, motion recognizing the submittal and acceptance of the annual Southview Commerce Center SID fiscal year 2023 budget.
Well, my question is, I don't understand this, this chart here, because it seems that there's sales tax revenue they expect in 2022 of $200,000 and $200,000 in 2023. That's a total, I think, of $400,000. And yet at the end of the thing, of the 2 years, they only have $10,000 left, even though now they did pay $194,000 to the developer, but where'd the other $200,000 go? Well, I think maybe somebody should just look this over and make sure that there's not a mistake, or explain to me this bookkeeping, because I don't quite understand.
What page are you on?
45.
45.
They are not, we budget cash carryover. Their cash carryover stays in fund balance. So
Well-
they're not reappropriating that cash carryover. So it's not that the cash is going away, it's just in fund balance.
Sitting in a bank account.
On the balance sheet.
Unrestricted.
Well, yeah, but the cash balance at the end of 2022 says $204,200. And then they take in another $200,000 and another $10,000, $210,000, so that'd be $414,000 they have. And then they pay out $194 and some change, and yet they're down to $10,000 at the end of 2023. Where'd that $200,000 go?
It didn't go anywhere, they're just only showing that current year, that individual year. That's all they're doing.
So
in essence, they got $214,200 at the end of fiscal year 23.
well, or at least 210,000. Well, yeah, at least 204 plus 10. Yeah, $214,000. Yeah, exactly right. You did the math faster than me. Okay, And then on E,
We gotta vote on that one first.
We need to vote on that one first.
oh, I'm sorry. So,
Is there a way that they could, in the future, make a change to show that?
We can definitely request it,
I know,
but they're
yeah, I know
governing.
it's I know it's their own governing body.
Yeah,
Yeah, can we
they have their
request,
own governing body. We can absolutely suggest and request it.
make it simple, make it
Yes.
simple.
And
All right, any other discussion on item D? Seeing none, all in favor?
aye.
Any opposed?
We need to make a motion to approve item D?
Right.
Oh. Didn't we already make the motion? Well,
No, I don't believe there was ever a motion made.
Right.
all right, we need a motion for item D.
Make a motion approving item D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for item D. We probably should have done that first, right? So, with a motion and a second, any other discussion? Seeing,
I would note that for this and the next one, so the review of the budget is subject to Missouri law. Any comments made or recommendations given by the city council are just recommendations. So, like, for example, Councilmember Powell about the way they're showing cash carryover and stuff like that, there is nothing under Missouri law that would require them to change it. So they could simply say, no, we like the way that it's just simply a recommendation from the city.
it's a friendly request, that's all.
Okay.
All right, with that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, motion reorganizing the submittal and acceptance of annual Fairfield Inn SID fiscal year 2023 budget.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, I have the same question, which is obviously an order of magnitude less, but here they do show that their funds are accumulating, but they don't, but up above, they say they're spending their funds on landscape care, maintenance, weed abatement, cleaning the sidewalks, trash containers, etc. So aren't they, wouldn't that be an expense? I don't see any expenses there. Looks like they're just accumulating money and not, but I don't think that they're in the middle of a trash problem. I mean, their weeds aren't 8 inches tall, so they're mowing and stuff, but I don't see them putting it down as an expense.
they're not spending it in these current years. They're holding on to it. They're paying administrative expenses, and this is a fairly new property. And at some date in the future, they'll be using that money on this district.
So they're just taking it out of the pockets of the people staying there, I guess. I mean, they got another funding source, obviously.
They are charging sales tax to people that are shopping, spending money in this district. So
Okay,
subject to
and spending it on lawn care. Okay,
not
Well, they are required to spend it on what the city council approved them to spend it on in their CID petition. So the city council approved utilizing the CID revenues to pay for things like maintenance and landscaping and mowing. Those are all very typical things to be approved in a CID petition.
but they don't. But according to what Sheila just said, they don't have to. If they want to pay it out of their own pockets or whatever, and not use this money and accumulate it, they can.
Yes, and then when a large issue comes up, they could spend it on that instead.
I see. Okay. Sorry for delaying.
You're
things,
fine. Asking questions, all good. Anybody else? Go ahead.
If I remember right, aren't they responsible for some of the ditch to the, what would that be, to the east of their property? And that's what some of this was gonna go for? Am I remembering that?
All three of us, I think, are ready.
So basically, yes, that ditch to the east of them is something they have to maintain, and we have gone to them and asked them to clean it up at least once since I've been here.
So I'm sure that's something they could use this
And
money for.
that stormwater detention was included as a utility on the CID petition as a CID project and a CID service.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, regular agenda. A motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-82.
An ordinance calling an election on a use tax question in the city of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Powell,
Yes.
Kraft,
Aye.
Peak,
Aye.
Lawson, Clark,
Aye.
and Goff.
Aye.
Motion carries. B, a motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-84.
An ordinance amending Appendix B traffic schedules, Table 6, no parking zones as referenced in Chapter 13, Section 13-333 in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Belton, Missouri, to establish a no parking zone along the east side of Speaker Avenue from East 160th Terrace to East 162nd Street.
Present.
And second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Lawson,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Peak,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion carries. C, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-01.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Belton, Missouri, repealing Section 2-838 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Belton, Missouri, to conform the Code of Ordinances to certain amendments approved by the qualified voters of the City of Belton, Missouri, to the Charter of the City of Belton, Missouri, as it relates to the Chief of Police.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
This was discussed at the last work session. This is simply a cleanup to fully reflect that the chief of police is no longer an elected official.
Any other body? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, I'd like to move for a second reading.
We have a motion for a second reading
Second.
and a second on this motion. Any discussion on the second reading? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a second reading on Bill number 2022-01.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Belton, Missouri, repealing Section 2-838 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Belton, Missouri, to conform the Code of Ordinances to certain amendments approved by the qualified voters of the City of Belton, Missouri, to the Charter of the City of Belton, Missouri, as it relates to the Chief of Police.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peak,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Mayor Larkey.
Aye. Motion carries. D, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-02.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Belton, Missouri, repealing Section 13-623 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Belton, Missouri, prohibiting certain communications equipment in motor vehicles.
Present.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is just the old crystal set
Go ahead.
radios.
Yeah.
This ordinance covered the old radio system. Under the current radio system, it's encrypted and digital, and nobody can listen to it anyway. And so this ordinance was basically rendered useless with the new radio system.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. E, a motion approving the first reading of Bill 2022-03.
An ordinance authorizing an access agreement with the Cass County Sheriff's Department.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for a second reading, Mayor.
We have a motion for a second reading
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the motion to a second reading? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a motion for a second reading for Bill number 2022-03.
An ordinance authorizing an access agreement with the Cass County Sheriff's Department.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peak,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Mayor Lorky.
Aye. Motion carries. City Council Liaison reports.
I'll do the parks update. We haven't had a meeting since the last city council meeting, but just a couple of dates and things coming up. There is a Frozen Princess Party on January 22nd from 2 to 4 at High Blue. There is the Cupid Family Shuffle, formerly the Daddy-Daughter Dance, that is on February 19th at Memorial Station. Spring sports registration is now open. Belton Parks and Rec is hiring for several part-time and seasonal employment opportunities. If you want to check those out, go to beltonparks.org. And if anyone's in the Adult Volleyball League on Tuesday nights, be gentle on me.
I got council meetings, thank you, though.
I've already lined up subs for the 3 I have to miss. And I don't love that it's on Tuesdays, but here we are.
Hey, in case you don't know, Councilwoman Lawson, the IT guy likes to play volleyball, so you might, not this one, Andrew likes to play volleyball, you might hit him up.
Any other council liaison reports? Seeing none, all right. Mayor's Christmas tree, I just want to make sure everybody had a happy holiday and everything going on. The only other thing I got is I'm going to, we got a birthday coming up. Belton's 150-year anniversary is this August the 27th. So I think we need to have some type of festivities, and I'm going to create some type of committee and put people on to come up with a plan of what we're going to do. So be prepared for that. So it actually falls on a Saturday, which is perfect.
You think we can get the Shriners back here to have a big parade?
Oh, that'd be cool, all their little go-karts.
Yeah, I used to love the Shriners.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So, that's all I have. You have anything?
Andrea's gonna tell us something.
We have some exciting news at the Senior Center. The project for the renovation is stated to be started on February 14th. Right now, we're holding 3 weeks out for the project to be completed. We're going to close the center Friday, February 11th to move everything out. Then the following 3 weeks, the center will be meeting at Memorial Station. We will have Fridays closed though, because the schedule just didn't work out to have it on Fridays. And then we'll move everything back in March 4th to hopefully open back up March 7th with the new floors and windows and bathrooms, and it's very exciting. Thank you very much.
Are we going to make sure they have all the material before we start this?
Why?
No.
The flooring and the bathroom materials are already here.
Okay.
With the contractor. He's still waiting for the windows, and we're really hoping that the windows will be here. If they're not here during this 3-week time frame, we've already talked to the contractor about either working off hours or perhaps closing for one more additional week, moving the seniors back to Memorial Station at some point to do that project. But we'll see what happens.
Nice to get it all done at the same time. So.
Yes.
Anything else?
Chief Lyons is gonna tell us about COVID.
Just wanted to update some of the statistics from today from our Cass County Health Department. This week we're up to 275 cases currently. Last week we ended with 614. That was up from 535 the week before. And for comparison, the last time these numbers were that high was 480, which was registered on December 6th through the 12th of 2020. So we are seeing an increase of the Omicron variant in our area.
Chief Lyons, my question to you on those, I mean, it seems like there's so many people doing at-home tests, or is there, I mean, how accurate are our numbers anymore? Just how many people are actually doing an at-home test and not reporting it, or?
I think there's a lot of individuals who are doing the at-home tests. I know that myself, I went down there last week and got tested because we did have some exposures and people out at within the police department. So I know that it can be done at the Cass County Health Facility, but their schedule is pretty full, is what they told me.
Thank you.
And then the final thing, I wanted to let you guys know that just because Central Square does not have staffing available to help us with our testing. The Paymentus transition has been delayed, and we are working with Central Square to provide staffing so that we can get that project completed. They have not turned off Transaction Manager, which they were going to be discontinuing on December 31st. And so just an update, and we're disappointed and we're really trying to get that done.
All right, any communication from council? Go ahead.
Mayor, I just want to echo your sentiments for Mr. Savage. I was privileged to appoint Tim Savage on council in 2001. So for an individual like Tim to dedicate 21 years of his life to our community, I think we need to commend him. Hopefully, sometime in the near future, we can give some type of recognition to his family for his time served and have a little celebration for him.
Sounds good. Anybody else have anything else? All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.